Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. This is Orphanlast, and I'm going to continue drawing this cylindrical curvilinear 4-point perspective image. As you can see, I'm warping an image. Now, when I was describing linear perspective, I said that you don't want to use any transformations with the image. And with curvilinear perspective, as long as it's just a rough sketch, you can do it to some extent. I mean, if you want to rotate the image or something, rotate the object or something, you're not going to be able to really do that too much. But just as long as it matches up with your guidelines on the grid, then everything's fine. At this point, I'm just gathering a bunch of reference images and everything like that. So the reason being is because, you know, I'm not a master of architecture. I mean, I've done stonemasonry and faux rock construction, and so, like, I know how to do stonemasonry, I know how to do faux rock, but I'm not an architect by any stretch of the imagination, so I still need to have some sort of references. I suppose after I draw enough scenes, then yeah, you know, I'll be able to just draw things directly out of my head all the time. But the thing is you need to, it is best for you to use references so that you have an idea as to what you're doing. As you can see here, I'm using some measurement lines. And whenever you're drawing with curvilinear perspective, as I've said earlier, you want to you don't want to overly excessively rely on measurement lines, just simply because the image is being warped by the curvature of the curvilinear perspectives. Okay, so you just want to use measurement lines in just compartmentalized areas. I think if you had a point of distance, as I called it in my linear perspective tutorials, or measurement lines as they're oftentimes called as well, that actually are pinpointed on the horizon line, if you can find a way how to do that, I think those sorts of measurement lines would be a hell of a lot more reliable than anything that you could do with just a few compartmentalized measurement lines, as well as trying to use the measurement lines just kind of universally throughout the whole image. If you try to use measurement lines just throughout the entire image, and everything like that, like you can with linear perspective, what you're going to run into is contextual proportion problems. And I kind of already described that a little bit. I should eventually show you guys an image that I drew of a saloon. The image looks great. The problem is there's a proportion problem in the image, and it doesn't make any sense at that one little portion of the picture. But yeah, whenever you're drawing from a reference image, this may sound like a yeah, no duh sort of statement, but seriously though, like, you need to actually see what you're seeing. You need to be able to understand what you're seeing and everything like that. There's a portion of this building that I'm drawing that actually has, like, a portion of the house that I didn't even see until the very end, and because I didn't actually see it, like, it was right in front of my face the whole time, but because I didn't even actually see it, it caused problems for me for making an awning. Now, I believe it's an awning. You walk outside of your house and, you know, you have this little roof over your head. You're still outside, but yeah, you get the idea. I kept trying to draw this awning, and I wound up completely erasing it and remaking it and everything like that, but eventually I got it looking okay, and then once I realized that I wasn't even seeing this other portion of this house, and that I needed to draw it, that's when the awning actually started to take shape and actually make sense. And it is fairly common for you to draw something and then completely erase it, and then redraw it and completely erase it. Thing is like, this is one of the reasons why people who are starting to draw get so frustrated or wind up with images that don't really look very well. You know, they don't start with the sketch. They try to draw the character, you know, they start drawing the character's head first or something like that, and they make the head look perfect, and then they go ahead and start trying to draw the body, and then they make the body perfect, and then they draw an arm or something along those lines and make it look perfect, and then they realize, hey, you know, once they finish with the legs and everything like that, hey, his arms, legs, and stuff, they're too long or too short, things aren't matching up. You need to remember to draw a rough sketch, and I did that in my previous video, and right now I'm just refining it. So by the end of this video, I'm not going to be done with the image. I'm just improving a portion of the image and making it look really nice for me to resume later on. When you're drawing an image, it's really tempting to get into a position where, especially when you're drawing something that you're not too familiar with, it's really tempting for you to start drawing it and then get frustrated and think, I need to take a break. Well, the problem is, at that point, you're just kind of running away from a monster. And it's best that you defeat the monster rather than run away, because as difficult as the image is now, your guidelines, all your little sketchy little lines that are being used as a point of reference and everything like that, they make sense. You wait a day or two or three or a week or a month or something along those lines to resume the image, and all of those guidelines are going to make absolutely no sense. So as difficult as that image was originally, it's now 10 times harder because you didn't defeat the monster. It had a chance to grow and get stronger, and so you need to know the difference between needing to take a break and when you should just persevere. Now, of course, you don't want to burn yourself out, but you need to know the difference between the two of them, and that's a valuable thing to learn. I mean, I wish I had someone to tell me that when I was younger, because there's so many failed projects. But then again, you know, you may have just completely screwed up the image, and just realized, yeah, it's a screw up, and yet you keep me as a kid, when I was much younger, I would keep these images, these screw-up images, all the time, and you know, sometimes I'd get compliments on them or something along those lines, but ultimately those images were a reminder of what not to do, and they always irritated me. They still irritate me. I still have those images. They irritated me pretty bad, just simply because I never finished them, and I screwed up the image. It's totally not worth my time to, I mean, to resume drawing that image. If I were to try to draw the image again, I would have to start from scratch, just because there'd be so much erasing, and by the time that I'd be done erasing, there would be practically no image. So why keep that extra step of erasing all that stuff? When drawing in perspective, whether it's linear or curvilinear perspective, it's actually advisable to, like, draw squares. Draw a bunch of squares and then refine it until it's finally the shape that you want it to be. And so that's something to keep in mind. You've seen me do that already on multiple occasions. You saw me do it with the garage. You saw me do it with that little extrusion next to the front door. You see me doing it occasionally with the awning while I'm drawing it. I added these stairs leading up towards the front door and everything like that, but the thing is, it wasn't inside of the reference image. You can do that sometimes. You can decide what to keep in the reference image and what not to keep, just as long as it's not something that's essential for the building, and as long as, say, like if you decide to add something that's just that structurally does not make sense, that basically the building would fall down, you don't want to do that. You want to keep things as true, tried and true as possible to reality, but you don't necessarily have to follow the reference image 100%. The reference image is just a reference. It's not a copy and paste. And it all, like, in the end, it's your drawing. You can make it whatever you want it to be, and so that those are things that you can keep in mind. One of the at the beginning of the video, I also scaled down you saw me scale down the building that I'm working on inside of this video, and some of the reason for that is just simply because I didn't really leave much room for these people to have a yard. Even after I added the garage, I didn't really give them much room for a yard. But, you know, I guess they have a front yard with a pine tree and some hedges and such like that. So at least there's that. I might give them a backyard and a privacy wall later on. We'll have to see how that works out. But yeah, kind of wondering what I should actually say at this point. As soon as I can think of something to say, I'll go ahead and bring it up. But for the time being, just enjoy the speed painting. Okay, so right here, this is when I realized there's this extra portion of the house. Now the awning looks just fine, but the thing is that it didn't actually match the reference image, and I actually liked the awning from the very get-go. And so I also noticed that the bottom portion of the house extruded further, I guess, towards the north the red north vanishing point on my grid. It extended closer towards the north vanishing point there than the upper half of the house. And so there you have it. Anyways, that pretty much concludes it for this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day. There's a little bit more time left in the video. Please feel free to continue watching, and have a good one.